All right, so sometimes we want to search for solutions to problems, and it's not necessarily, well, the question is, how do we go about turning this into something that is a search kind of problem? So you may have seen, I may have given you this old problem before. Have I ever given you that one? Maybe in an algorithm class. All right, so what happens, this doesn't look like a graph search problem. Right? It definitely doesn't look like any other kind of, we don't tend to think of it as searching. But what are we really doing? Again, the problem says that every letter is a number, a single digit number. And like say, if we figure out what U is, it's the same here as it is here. And nothing else can have that same value. Right? So each letter corresponds to a single digit, and then nothing else can have that same digit. And so the digits are just 0 through 9 that are available to us. So if we arrange this problem like this, then what happens when we want to start looking for an answer? In looking for an answer, we need to figure out what kind of constraints there are. What are the pieces? What rules are in effect? So if we look at this for some of those kinds of rules that we know have to happen, what do we know about R plus A? We don't know that. What do we know? It has to equal E, or what? All right, it could be 10 plus E. And we don't know which, but it's one of those. So we have these two rules, these two constraints that are in place. So we will later talk about constraint-based programming in this kind of way. But for right now, we're thinking about it, trying to figure out how to search for answers amongst some possibilities. So we have a lot of different possibilities that could be in place. But we know that whatever happens with R, A, and E, that one of these two has to be true. We don't know which. So right now, we just know that one of those two is in effect. I think we know that U probably has to be 9. Well, so I mean, we just started right here, right? So what do we have to do? Then we can work our way through all of these different constraints and try to organize just what are the constraints. Now, what are we doing in organizing the constraints? We are not doing any calculations yet, right? We're just saying, here's what happens, here's what's going on, what do we know? And then what happens as we work our way through that, we can then maybe find out, oh, this number has to be this. This number has to be that. And eventually be able to resolve all of the constraints. But the first step is to write down what all of the constraints are. So let's try to do that. Let's try to write down all of the constraints for this problem.